I mean, this conversation is, I feel like it's today's generation's conversation almost. I understand the conversation, and I overstand it, but I feel like it's a part of today's generation's conversation.
Salute to the subscribers, those that live beyond the Cypher. I am your host, Illskillz. This is Beyond the Cypher, the podcast that shows humanity in the superhuman. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons. They cost you nothing. Today for episode 19, 83 till infinity, we have one of the illest still doing it for us 40-plussers. He's a Freestyle Sessions finalist. He's trained some of the illest in the game. As an MC, he's achieved red carpet status, and most importantly, he's used hip-hop to influence and inspire members of his community. I'm talking about none other than Style Element Crew's own, Artson. What up, Artson? How you doing, my man?
I'm blessed, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you for reaching out to me and, asking me to come through and just share some words and, speak and just have a conversation with you, man. It's good. Always good.
No doubt, man. And like I said, we appreciate you, agreeing to come on the show and share your story, especially, me and you, we're in the 40 plus. I don't know your exact age. What's your exact age?
I'm 46.
Okay. Yeah. So you a little bit older than me, but we in the same, we in the same bracket. So it's always good to hear those stories. And, when we fast forward into the future and kids are coming into breaking 10, 15 years from now, and they want to know some history, it's going to be good to be told by the people, that were there. So even as a channel, we're kind of just building an encyclopedia of letting people tell their stories so that eventually you can come to Beyond the Cypher and you can just be like, oh, now I know what was happening in New York, what was happening in the southeast, the southwest, the northwest. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what we're doing here, man. So again, we appreciate you becoming part of that lineage. You know what I'm saying?
Well, word, man. That's one of the biggest lessons that I learned is to share my story. When I got down with Rocksteady, Mr. Wiggles was always like, yo, you need to tell your story, and share your story. Even the day that I got down, I remember being so hyped because I was finally a part of this history, and he was like, yo, I know you're hyped, but always make sure that you carry your own legacy and your own story. And just because you're part of Rocksteady, doesn't mean that you should always be sharing the Rocksteady story. You need to share your story, where you're from, where your people come from, the dances your people did, the things that you learned along this journey, because that's going to be what outlasts everything, So that really stood with me. Even before that, I was already living and vibing with Style Elements. So I was learning from Style Elements before I got in Rocksteady for that time period of my life. But even then, Quality is a huge mentor in my life, and he was always like the same thing. Yo, tell your story. Share your story. So that's a big lesson that's always stuck with me. So man, it's beautiful to be here, just talking about my life, what I mean?
No doubt.
Especially as a kid,
right.
Your life, what's that? What is that? You're always trying to seek, we have our heroes, we have our people we look up to, and we're not always looking at our story, being your own hero, being your own,
right.
Your own inspiration, So that's a big part of where I am right now. Is being proud of the things that I've accomplished.
Right.
The things that I've surpassed, so
no doubt.
Yeah, man, it's good to share my story. So thank you.
No doubt, man. And I think when you're humble, like you and, other people that I've been able to interview, a lot of times if you don't get a chance to tell your story, you kind of almost don't fully see the breadth of what you've accomplished. You know what I'm saying? Like when other people tell you, you're like, wow, I did do that, didn't I? You know what I'm saying? Or when you got to sit down and recall all of the things that you've been through, like what your story is, you're like, dang, man, I thought I was just living day to day, but I got a little bit of a legacy here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's part of the hard thing about living in the moment. People that live in the moment, you cherish those things, but it's hard to get to the point where you're really living in the moment all the time, and sometimes you're just so trying to get to the next thing. You're always trying to get to the next thing, the next accomplishment, the next dream. And you don't realize that, dang, you just accomplished this, you just accomplished that. And you're just like searching for the next thing always. And you've accomplished so many things. Next thing you know, you look back, like you said, and you're like, whoa, I accomplished a gang of stuff and didn't even realize it.
Right.
You have to live in the moment. If you're living in the moment, you'll appreciate those things, those times, so
no doubt. Man. So when it comes to hip hop culture, where does your story start that you about to get us into?
I mean, my story originally started in around 83.
Wow.
My parents were divorced, and I moved into my stepmother's house, and I had a stepbrother, 2 stepsisters at the time, and just going outside to play, I saw breaking. Just my brother took me to the neighbors. They were breaking in the backyard. I didn't know what it was, and they asked me to participate. They were just doing backspins at the time, just backspins, and I started to do it just because it was like something fun.
Right, it was like a game to you, probably, right?
Yeah, it was like a game and a challenge. It was like who could spin the most. That was the first thing where it was like who could spin the most, and that went on for a while because it wasn't all over TV. It wasn't at the time it hadn't even hit the movies really yet, and so it was just on the block. Like that's all I knew of it, and then I started to hear stories about what it was, where it came from, this is from New York, and then the movies came out, and then it was like, whoa, okay, I want to be a part of this, especially at such a young age, to be able to go to the movie theater and see, Beat Street, breaking.
To rock this house tonight, and hip hop will bring it in like to rock that.
And see them on the big screen, like that has such a big impact on a young mind. Like those were, to me, it was like watching Superman or watching any superhero and being like, whoa, and now I'm a part of this. Like I felt like this is achievable. You know what I mean?
Right.
I could do this. And then, so yeah, I knew from then, man, that's it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do hip hop for the rest of my life. I knew at a very young age that I was going to do this for the rest of my life. My teachers thought I was crazy. My family thought I was crazy. My parents, everyone just thought like, this isn't even going to last.
Right.
Isn't even gonna last, and so that was it, man. I was turned on from 83, man. That was it, and I just kept on. I had my ups and downs throughout the journey. I think we all go through ups and downs throughout the journey, whatever life takes you, having to learn to grow into being a teenager, then a young man, then being a man, adulthood, maturity, like all those things take through these different waves. And on top of it, I grew up in the street. I grew up in the hood and having to fend for myself. There wasn't a lot of money around. So all those roller coasters took me like to different places that I shouldn't have gone through, but they gave me experience, but it was always hip hop. Even when I was getting caught up, I was still like caught up, but going and doing hip hop stuff, caught up and going, and it just kept me like this until finally it was just like, it just leaned one way. And I was like, oh man, like it's just leaning over here. I don't really got to do these things anymore. And I grew from them, grew out of them. And now I'm just here, man. It's like,
no doubt.
I survived it, yo. Yeah. I survived,
Word. So Artson, where are you living? So when this is all happening, what state are you in?
At that time, my very early was Texas. I was born in El Paso.
El Paso is a city in the western part of Texas right on the US-Mexico border. Due to its place on the Rio Grande River, the location has a storied history dating all the way back to hunters and gatherers in the Hueco Tanks area, Spanish colonizers in the 1500s, and eventually the start of the city itself in the mid-1800s. El Paso today is one of the largest cities in Texas and is a popular town due to its location and the college that brings students from all over the world.
Okay.
I was born in El Paso, Texas. I lived there till I was about 18, 19. My mom, like I said, my parents were split. My mom lived in Vegas since I was 5. So around 19, I got caught up and I got arrested twice within a month.
Oh, wow.
And a year, I didn't have my hearing for my charges till a year later. And at my hearing, the judge was like, right before he gave me my sentence or whatever, he was like, "Is there anything that you want to say?" And I was like, "Yo, if I would like to ask if I could move to Las Vegas." I was like, if I stay here, I'm gonna get in more trouble, and I'm gonna be back here to see you. Like, I'm surrounded by trouble, and if I stay here, that's where I'm gonna end up being. But I have the opportunity to go. My mother lives in Las Vegas since I was 5. I could get a job, and I could be employed. And he was like, "You could get a job out there." I was like, "Yeah, I have work out there. I could go do it." I was like, and I'd leave. And he was like, "Granted." He granted it to me.
Wow.
Yo, it was so crazy. He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, granted, you could go." And he's like, "You're gonna be on probation for 2 years, and we're gonna set you up with a probation officer out there and everything, and you're gonna have community service, but you're free to leave El Paso." And shout
out to him.
Yo, for real, that probably like saved my life, honestly.
Dang.
And I was out. I dipped out. I moved to Vegas, and at like 19 years old, and then 20.
Wow.
And I just stayed there for like 15 years or something like that. And I went through my things out there too in Vegas, like still learning. But
right.
Yeah, after that, it was like that early age was all Texas, man. It was all. I learned. I went through a different learning stage than a lot of kids now with hip hop or breaking, because back then it was just the people around you, your cousins, your family, your friends, and there wasn't like foundation. There wasn't these things there wasn't dance studios, there wasn't like writing classes or all these things that the kids have now. It was just
YouTube.
YouTube, all that. It was just like you learn, you show the homies, and they tell you you're whack or if you're fresh, and that's how you learn. Like they're either gonna be like, that's whack, or and that was my early stages, and I think that helped me with my creativity, and learning to be original, because I wasn't learning from somebody directly. I learned on my own, and then later on I learned about foundation. And I mean, when I found out all this foundation, so yeah, it was amazing to me. It was like, oh, what? This is like broken down. There's a science to all this. Like, this is amazing. But at that time, it was just all me being creative and being original and trying to stand out in my hood, in my block, and be like, I'm fresh around the block. I'm the freshest around here, And so that's what I feel like a lot of my style came from, is from early on in Texas, learning to be original and stand out in my hood. And then in Vegas, I learned foundation and stuff. And, so that's where I was.
So when you get to Vegas, what were some of your like earlier crews that you were a part of?
Well,
or did you guys even do the crew thing at that time?
Well, I had crews in Texas. We had crews. So we had breaking crews in Texas. I had cousins that were like amazing in Texas. They were like winning like all city battles and stuff. Like, to me, that that was a big thing. And and then when I was a teenager going through like freestyle dance, I did a lot of freestyle dance because around 86 when breaking stopped, I was only breaking from like 83 to 86. And then around 88, I started dancing again, and it was all freestyle dance, a lot of social dances, Running Man, Roger Rabbit, Cabbage Patch, you know, RoboCop, all those dances, going to teen clubs. And then we had our own crews then, just childhood crews. Like, you know, I was in a crew called TNT, which was Dynamite. And we had that crew. And then, but when I got to Vegas, it was just, I was kind of just solo. Like, it was just me. I moved out there, but I happened to run into Ivan. Ivan was living in Vegas. He was working at a show called Splash, the Riviera Casino. And I would see him at the clubs. And I started running around with him at clubs. So I was learning like a lot from him, how to be real energetic, how to capture audiences, how to like, you know, just go out and like perform. Perform,
Yeah.
and at clubs, but perform, you know, how to be a performer. And
right.
And then they had a show that came to Vegas called the Manhattan, and a bunch of dancers moved to Vegas. Crumbs, Ramine, Flowmaster, Wicked, Honey Rockwell, like all these dancers moved. Wiggles, Mr. Freeze, they were all living in Vegas. And so I got to like see that happen while learning from Style Elements, because I met Quality. We moved out there, you know, and I got to be around these guys. And then living with them, with Quality and Ramine. And then when they left is when I really started to get involved with Rocksteady, because Mr. Wiggles asked me to be a part of Rocksteady because I was already friends with Flo Rock and Aldo, which was Quiet Riot, and I started learning from them. Then I got down with Rocksteady, and I was down with Rocksteady for almost 10 years, like pretty much 10 years of my life.
Okay.
And then it went full circle, and I got down with Style Elements in around like 2011. Yeah.
Right. What stopped you from being down with them first? It was just because they all kind of left out of Vegas?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of different things. I think when I met them, they were on such a high. You know, they had just won Battle of the Year, just won Radiotron. You know, they just won all these huge things, and they were like at such a high point. I was like still like learning. You know, I was like kind of like I was freestyle dance, coming from a freestyle background almost, and into breaking. And so when I was learning from them, it was like I was just cool. We were just friends, you know. And I think if we would have, I feel like if they would have stood in the city, it would have eventually happened. But because they left, the long distance friendship, it was kind of different at the time back then. You know, this is like, I was even like not even cell phoned out at that time. You know? Like, I was anti-cell phone at the time. You know, I didn't want to. I was like kind of like that kid where I was like, I don't want to have that army and stuff like that. But I stood in the city. Rocksteady started a chapter. And Rocksteady wasn't even like a thought in my mind. You know, it was like. So when they asked me, it was like, what? That was like. It was like almost unbelievable to me, you know, that we're talking like full circle from my childhood, seeing Beat Street on the big screen. And, you know, now I have Mr. Wiggles ask me to be a part of something that is, to me, was like out of reach at the time, you know, like right. I feel like it's kind of different now with the history now where we're at today. But at that moment, it was huge for me, you know.
Because it's kind of, I'm just trying to jump into your mind, but it's kind of like, now the silver screen has jumped off the screen and into your life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Was like, it was like what? Like, this is crazy. This is like to me, that was like Superman, you know, like,
right.
These are like I said earlier, like these are like heroes. I'm like, okay, yeah.
You don't say no to that one, right?
Yeah, you don't say no. You don't say no, you know, and I was like, yes, you know, for sure. And, you know, and I remember even calling Quality and being like, yo, like, Wiggles just asked me to get down Rocksteady, and like, you know, he was like, do it. And I got down with Rocksteady, man. I learned a bunch of stuff, and like, I'm grateful for that period of my life, because I learned a lot, you know, I put a lot of work in, you know, for people that don't know or weren't around me at that time or whatever, like I wasn't the fastest learner, you know, like I always try to like remind people that like people learn in different stages, you know, but the one thing that I do have is I have a huge heart, you know, I have a lot of dedication and will, you know, so I'm going to put the time in, you know, where to make up for the fact that I don't learn the quickest, you know, around all the homies or whatever. And like, while they're picking it up, I'm paying attention, doing it so much that I'm learning so much from it. So at the end of the day, I'm mastering movements that somebody might have picked it up that day, you know, but that's how it kind of goes. Like, I feel somebody can pick up something that day, but somebody that spends years doing it, they're going to end up knowing it so much, you know.
And outs.
Yeah, like I know all about it because I spend so much time with it, right. You know. So that's who I kind of am as a dancer. It's like when I go or anything, any of my art forms, like rapping or whatever, music, whatever I'm doing, I put so much into it. Like, I'm not just like quick, but now that I'm older, like I'm quick now because, you know, the time I spent with at those learning points, and it was like, it was crazy, man. Like,
so why do you get out of when and why do you get out of Rocksteady?
I got out because there was a moment where Legs kicked everyone out.
Oh wow!
He dropped a text to everybody and kicked everyone out, and
with no explanation. It's just like, all right, it was
nice
one to last.
Everybody got texts like, y'all out of the crew, like, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, it was everyone, like, why not Bonita, Irvin, Kulski, Easy Rock, like we're talking like everybody, you know?
Wow.
And I was the only one that was like, nah, like I battled in the crew. Like, I'm a rock a shirt at the next jam. Y'all could come battle. Get the
you know said I already did what I had to do.
Yeah, like we gonna battle me out. You know, like I come from a different background. You know what I'm saying? Like my background is like I was never in a gang, but my homies was in gangs. And when it was like forever. You know, that's how I saw. That's how I saw it. I come from a street lifestyle where it's like
you got to die out.
Forever. Yeah. And I caught a little heat from being that, you know, being like that, you know, like, of course they weren't happy with me being like, what's up? You know what I mean? So, but it earned me respect to stay down with the crew for a minute. And they were like, okay, well, you know, you still down or whatever. And then, but my thing this is a family, you know? So now you got my family torn apart. Like, I'm like, we need to fix this. And so they were like, okay, let's try to fix it. You know, let's give it a little bit of time and let's see what happens. You know, this is what I was told. And I was like, all right, cool. And then at the time, Remind came to LA and he was staying with me. And he was like, yo, I'm going to build up Style Elements. And he was like, why don't you get down with the crew? And we're gonna recruit a bunch of people. And I was like, And nothing was happening with rebuilding the Rocksteady. So I just made a decision, man. You know, like, you know, I was like, I can't do this. Like, if my family's torn apart, you know, so I can't see. I felt like I'm the one seeing my homies at the jams. Though, you know, you talking about Legs, or he wasn't really like, he's not at a lot of jams, you know, like he's at jams that he's getting chose to be at this time, you know. I'm at all the jams out here in California, you know, like I'm like hosting all these jams, being at a bunch of jams, and I'm seeing my family who I'm not supposed to be family with no more, you know. So I was just like, nah, this isn't working. Y'all ain't trying to fix it. So, and I'm gonna go down with Style Elements. They were the crew I really wanted to be with anyways. You know, that was my dream crew. You know, Rocksteady happened, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for everything. You know, all the lessons I learned. You know, I'm grateful for Legs having me down and Wiggles asking me to be down, and I'm grateful for meeting, you know, and becoming brothers with Fable and Sweepy and like all these amazing people to me. But when the family was dismantled, that was it for me, man. I was like, how's this gonna work for me? You know, like I'm out here. So yeah, I just had to leave, man. It was a tough decision, especially because I think the hardest decision for me about it was Bell Rock was my student. I'm his original teacher. And
Wait, so you're still training him at this point when this is all
yeah,
going down?
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
wow, okay.
When all that happened, Bale hit me up and his family hit me up like, well, what are we supposed to do? Do we get out the crew? Like you're his teacher, you got him down. And I was like, nah, man, like he should stay down. It's better for him, you know. And so, but that was the toughest decision for me was the kids, Shadow, Phoenix, Case, you know, Bale. Like us leaving the kids didn't make sense to me, you know. So that was the toughest decision for me because I'm all about the youth, man, and like the next generation's coming up. But that was the toughest part about it all, man.
No doubt. Now, like you touched on, you know, you're Bale's trainer, and as actually, you know, shout out to Shadow because when I actually interviewed him some time ago, and he told me what you just told me that you were that you were Bell Rock's primary trainer, and so what was it like seeing somebody become so successful within breaking that you had put so much time and energy into?
I mean, I knew it when I first seen him. I knew what was to come for his life, man. Like I don't know how to really explain it, but like I had a vision. Like I seen it all happen before anything, you know. He was still like an infant, you know, like he was like not even good, you know, like, but I saw it, man. I was like, he's gonna be something, this kid. And I saw all these things, man. I saw him in music videos. I saw him on TV. I saw him like on film. I saw this. I told his parents, like, yo, I seen all this for your kid. And I believe in visions, you know, like that's part of my, you know, my culture, my heritage, and my, you know, so I was like, this is going to happen for him. And on top of it, he was naturally gifted, man. Like the first day he walked into my class, I'm talking about, he was 8 years old. No teaching at all. And I'm playing music that I know for a fact he never has heard. And he's hitting beats that most, like a student I might have taught for years ain't hitting those beats, you know?
Wow.
And I was like, oh man, there's something else going through this kid's. There's like a spirit living in him that's connecting to something else. And so, man, I was just like, it was awesome, man. I was like, this guy's going to be somebody, you know, and I'm so proud of him, you know.
Right. And you said you're seeing this before he even really has any skills.
Oh, he had no skills, man.
Outside of the ear. You saw the ear, but you didn't see like what he became. He didn't have that yet. He didn't have any of that yet.
He didn't have any of that yet, man. He was like, he had nothing. Like, but I saw the connection he had and the spirit that was expressing, you know, and I knew that there was something special about him. And I taught him like secretly for a while before I mentioned anything to Rocksteady. You know, like matter of fact, the first time they seen him, I took him. Well, I didn't take his parents took him to the Rocksteady anniversary, and he just blew everyone's mind. Yeah, he just blew everyone's mind. He just was battling everybody. He was like a monster, and I think everyone was just like, oh, okay, we see what you was talking about. You know what I mean? And yeah, he was just on another level for a young kid, you know, at the time. At the time you had like Little Demon and Jaden that were making noise at that moment. But I had this little secret weapon, man.
No doubt. And he probably, I mean, I don't know because I didn't really keep up with him, but he probably lasted longer than they did, huh? Or are they still getting down?
He's still consistently dancing. I don't know what happened to Jaden and
Little Demon.
I know Demon's been like, he's gone through like little things, you know. I remember once he got in skill methods, it kind of like started drifting a little, and you know, I don't really know. I'm sure he dances once in a while. I'm just not sure if it's part of his life like that. I don't really know. I would love to see him still dancing, but
speaking of still dancing, My man Artson was in the 40 and up freestyle sessions bracket. Made it all the way to the final. And I mean, you had a tough task. You had to take out Wicked to for the win, and but you know he overall he ended up taking it. Respect to him. But you were there, man. How does it feel to be 40 and up and still competing?
Man, it's a blessing, you know. As a young kid, I was told I wouldn't be able to dance till I was 40, you know, and in our generation, we didn't have those dancers to look up to. There was nobody that was 40 in our generations doing it, you know, as a young kid. So to be part of the, I guess, like, really, like, some of the first generation of 40 cats doing it like that, you know, because even the elders now, they're not competing like that, our elders, you know. So we're like that first generation to really be out there like that. So, man, it's a blessing. It's just, I don't even know how to explain it, just to still be able to dance and still be able to compete and still feel young, still feel youth in me, you know, still feel the competitive, like, edge of, like, okay, you know, it's amazing, man.
Yeah, that's dope, man. And shout out to Freestyle Sessions for even having a 40 and up bracket, because I thought that was, you know, like a cool thing, just so that the, you know, us older guys can still, you know, it's like playing pickup ball, you know what I'm saying? We still want to get out there and play, you know what I'm saying? We don't want to hang it up just yet, you know, but we also don't want to go against future Olympians, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, I mean, I guess we wouldn't mind, but we don't want to be in a bracket full of them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Want to be?
I'll catch them in the Cypher.
Yeah, there you go. When the rules change a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
You know what
they become real favorable to the wise ones.
Yeah, competitive world, you got those, you know, 2-3 rounds to shine, but Cypher, you got to dance. It's a little different.
Have 2-3 hours to shine in the Cypher.
Got you all day, homie. No,
you know, word. So now, for those who don't know, you also are, you know, heavily involved in other elements, and the one you being involved in is music, right?
Break bread with the best while you're building better bridges. Battle from the bottom like a beast, handle your business. One better than these babbling vagabonds from Babylon. Basically base running like I'm batting for Barry Bonds. Hit harder than these hitters on the block, hella high. Haven't had a holler to open they heaven eye. Heated from the hot hood, haters got you hellified. Heathen when you're breathing, have people reaching for sky. Tell time to teach you and talk to your temple. Might take some ticking, but don't let the trouble tempt you.
So what inspired you to start rapping?
Man, it starts from the same story from the beginning. Like, in the beginning when I was doing it, once it got past my block, and it started reaching out to the neighborhoods around, then I'm seeing people do everything. You know, I'm seeing people beatbox and freestyle on the corner. You know, I'm seeing cats, you know, go. So I'm running up with cats to go look at the piece in the alley. You know, I'm seeing. So it was the whole spectrum of hip hop, and then it was. But what initially got me to really, like, put the pen to paper was English class and having to do a speech in front of everybody or a poem. It was like, okay, everyone's going to have to do a speech or a poem in front of the class. And I was like, I don't want to, what am I going to speak about? You know? And then I was just like, I'm just going to write a rap and just say it's poetry, because it is, you know?
It is.
And that's when I wrote my first rap, you know, and I did it. It went good in class, and then it spread through the school that I was rapping in class. And then the MCs in school were like, yo, so, you know, we heard you rapping, you know, and I had to show them. And then they were like, okay. And then they kind of took me in. They were like, okay, now let's start writing raps. And that just became a thing. Like, you write a rap in class during break, we're going to cypher. And then it stood, man. This was like 89.
Wow.
You know, when I first
they weren't trying to battle you, man. They just wanted to hear the rap.
Yeah, we just wanted to rap together. It wasn't about battle. You know, they had battles and stuff like that, but I was like a new jack, you know what I'm saying? Like, why they want to battle me, you know? So they were more like, yo, like, get good so you can battle, you know? It was more like that, you know, like, and I'm thankful for that, man, because I feel like maybe if they would have probably battled me and, like, you know, did me dirty or whatever, I might have like quit, you know, like, man, like, you know, but because of the encouragement, you know, it's like, okay, you know, and I still talk to some of those cats every now and then. They'll hit me up and like congratulate me, you know, and be like, yo, you still with it, you know? A lot of them, you know, they don't rap no more, or they're just like, man, like, you actually stayed with everything, bro. Like, that's wild, you know.
That's dope, man. Speaking of getting good, you challenged yourself with a 52 songs in 52 weeks challenge. What was the reasoning behind that? Were you just trying to challenge yourself as an MC and songwriter, or, you know, did somebody put some money up and say you couldn't do it, or what was that about?
Nah, it kind of happened. There's a couple of things that happened. It kind of happened on accident. There's a few things that happened. I wanted to start writing Brave Star 2, because I put an album out called Brave Star.
Been dreaming of this moment ever since I was a shorty on the block and at the parties, getting open with the homies. It was more than just a vision, it became the way we live, and having fun and acting dumb. Get your skills up was the mission. Was hard to listen to the drama when they said to stop. Keep it moving while I'm proving and I'm reaching for the top. You could catch me when I'm flying if you look up at the sky. Hey kid, walk straight, master your high. I let go of the eagle, this was given to the people. Now I'm soaring like an eagle, cause I know that we are equal. Spread these wings and let it be. Didn't know I'd be so free, chasing things I couldn't see, but this I know and I believe.
And it did really good. It got me my first commercial radio play. I hit like #1 in college. I hit #2 in Canada. I won a Native American Music Award for Best Rap Hip Hop Album.
Hey, how you doing? My name's Artson. I'm Tarumara Raramuri from Chihuahua, Mexico. I got 2 nominations this year for Best Narrative Video and also Best Album Hip Hop Rap. And it's good to be out here. This is my second year here. Last year we got 3 nominations and 1 win. And I'm just hoping for the best this year, knowing the best, and I'm grateful to be out here.
And so I was like, I want to do Brave Star 2. Like, I need to hit this off the bat, you know, like, and I kind of went into that, and I wasn't vibing with that. And I was like, my mind needed to do something else. So I started to do this other album, and I completed it. And then at the end of that album, I got a couple of beats that led me to this whole other style. And I was like, man, I was not going to do this, but I'm just going to wrap this album up. And then that turned into it. And then I was done with 2 albums. And then in the middle of that second one, all these extra beats that didn't quite fit on that one, I started working on that. Next thing I know, I had like 32 songs done, something like that. Wow. And I was like, man, I'm sitting on 3 albums. And all
you need was 20 more.
Yeah, all I need is 20 more, you know, and I didn't have some jobs fell through. I didn't have all the money to do everything, to promote all those albums. I was like, what am I going to do, you know? And so I was trying to come up with an idea, And then I was watching this interview with Russ. I don't know if you know who Russ is. He's like a today's dude, like a today MC, like, and I was watching this interview because I pay attention to everything. You know, I check out all the new music coming out today. I listen to the old cast. I listen to everything, you know. So I was hearing this interview, and he was like, he had the same thing. He's like, I had this idea. I was sitting on 3 albums, and I had another one that I was working on, and, you know, which was my masterpiece. He's like, so I already knew I could do 52 songs, you know, in a year. And he's like, and that kind of helped me like spark a little blow up. And so I got inspired by that. I was like, man, I'm sitting in this dude's position, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I could do this. And I just was like, I'm gonna go at it, you know, and I just started doing it. You know, I just started dropping all the songs. And, you know, I wish it's a how can I say it? It's a weird thing for me because I love that I did it. And I love that I got to share that much of myself with everybody. But at the same time, because of 2020, it didn't actually do what it could have did, you know, because I'm not on tour. I'm not meeting new people. I'm not around all these new cities. All this wave was lost. And because I'm a performer, the revenue isn't the way it should have been, you know? So I'm not able to market my album the way I marketed Brave Star. When I came up with the idea and the plan, I had just booked the biggest tour of my life. And like, there was back-to-back tours, the biggest I'd ever done. So the money was in front of me. And then 2020 hit and all that got canceled. I'm sitting at home. There's no money to market any of this. It was only me. You know, it turned into only me doing it, only me creating the buzz, only me like online, you know, and so I felt like it didn't do what the justice should have, you know. And so, I mean, but I'm still happy, you know. A lot of people caught medicine from it. I got a lot of beautiful messages from people that really felt it, and like we're looking forward to it every week, and like certain songs that got people buying, stuff like that. You know, I'm appreciative of all that, man. But as an artist, you know, you still wanted to do what you visioned, you know, like, dang, I saw this, man. It was right in front of me, you know? And
right.
So I have this little thing about it, you know. It's like, man, I'm super grateful that it's an accomplishment regardless, you know, but no, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for me to swallow, man, because I'm like, man, it was right there. It was right there, you know. And, right. And you know, at the end of the day, though, I put out 52 songs. And right now, I'm sitting on 3 albums, done. Like, wow. I had to take a break. I was like, I'm gonna take a break and hit the brakes for a second. I'm putting stuff out, but I'm still writing and recording. But I'm sitting on 3, so I have 3 albums that I'm like, yo, I could do it again.
That's 104.
Yo, let's go, yo, let's go.
No doubt. Well, recently on your Instagram, and make sure you follow I Am Artson on IG. You released, you put up your music video, Can't Deny.
See it, but I seen it with my eyes, so I can't deny. The only thing left is for me to believe it, yeah. I believe it, yeah, yeah. I believe it, yeah. I believe it, yeah, yeah. I believe it, yeah, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So what is the message that you're trying to convey in that project?
Well, that project and actually that album was all written during quarantine.
Oh wow!
So I went through a lot of like emotions through quarantine. I mean, a lot of people did. You know, a lot of people went through a lot of emotions, and you know, at the time, I like just pulling myself out of like this deep depression. Like I feel like I've suffered through. It made me realize I've suffered depression through my whole life, like with my parents being divorced, with things that I've done in the street, or the life I've lived, and carrying those things with me. Like I've realized the times where like I'll just get sad all of a sudden, and then like I don't care about life or the risk I put myself in because I didn't care about myself the way I should. So I was like pulling myself out of like this depressive state at the beginning of quarantine. And when I started to write that album, I caught a creative wave, but I wanted to be true. I wanted to be honest. You know, I wanted to be like really, really honest and talk about like having faith or like believing in something bigger, not denying yourself, like what we were talking about earlier, when you look back and you see your success or whatever, you can't deny, like I seen these things, so it's like, it's up to me whether or not to believe in me. Like, cause if I look at my life, the success tells its story, regardless, and I had to face that for myself, because I was depressed that like, man, I felt like I finally made it to this point, and then it got taken away from me, and that's what put me in depression, because it was like I've chased hip hop my whole life to reach a financial success, and like and when it got taken away, it's like, man, I don't even got a job, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to go to work. Like I feel like I'm at right here. I'm at this point. Like I'm good at what I do. And it kind of depressed me, I was like, man, what did I do with my life? What was it all worth it? Like I separated myself from my family, so, and I didn't grow up with I didn't grow up around my family. Like hip hop's my family, the people I run the ciphers with, or people I share music with, like they became my family. My family, I love them, but I didn't grow up with them because I chased this thing, and it put me in that state. So you can't deny it's about that. It's about like me accepting myself, and me being okay with being like, yo, like you did good, and like you're helping people to recognize their own dreams and their own success, and like know that there's a bigger picture, than our own vision, like your vision, you'll reach it in another, you'll reach it, but it might not be exactly how you think, so that's what that is about, man. Is that, I realized that I've seen and done things that rich people can't do, like just because you have money, that doesn't mean that you get to do everything that you want.
Experience things that money can't buy.
Yeah. So, I've been to places, I have friends in places, and like seen parts of the world that is like amazing that, wow. You can't buy those trips. So, man, I'm just grateful for that. And so that's what it's about, man. It's like, there's something greater going on than us, but we're a part of it if you can see it, so that's what Can't Deny is, man, is that, we're here, man. We're here. We were chosen to be here at this time, at this moment, through 2020, to get to even us talking, it's like, there's something else going on, man. It's like a special thing that's happening.
So, Artson, I want to get respectfully uncomfortable. So, back in early February, Black History Month of all months, my guy Rock Lobster, and it seems like I reference him a whole bunch of times these days, but he made a post on Facebook talking about, the non-Black dancers. He's Asian, by the way. He was talking about non-Black dancers coming out the woodwork to show anti-Black racism once the guest in hip hop conversation comes up. He's like, every February this happens, right? So I was like, we'll drop some names. And instead of doing that, he sent me to some like page about hip hop memes or something like that. And then I go on this page and I just see a bunch of just like ignorance, right? And when I was watching your video, Can't Deny, I noticed some of that Black Lives Matter like imagery in there. And that would be the easy question, like, what does Black Lives Matter mean to you? Or, what should it mean to people? That, to me, that's easy. But as an ADOS person, my question more is, do you think, or have you witnessed like anti-Black, it's not really racism because they can't systematically do anything, but have you witnessed or do you believe that in the existence of like anti-Black sentiment in hip hop and breaking specifically, especially once the guest conversation comes up and then lines have to be drawn?
I personally, I haven't really witnessed it. I mean, I hear people talking about it and then they point out things and like, okay, you know what I'm saying? But that wasn't me witnessing it. That was me, it being shared, And so I haven't really witnessed it like that, but I mean, this conversation is, I feel like it's today's generation's conversation almost. I understand the conversation, and I overstand it, but I feel like it's a part of today's generation's conversation.
Right.
I mean, me growing up, I went to I knew that this was like, I was learning from Black folks and Black culture, and I was reading books about Black culture, and even the music then was heavily 5% driven, so a lot of knowledge is coming from the 5%ers. So it was like, I knew those things. I was listening to X-Clan and Brand Nubian and Public Enemy. So I'm growing up, and then I'm going to Black clubs, and most of my homies are all Black. So I'm surrounded around. But nobody ever, at that time, nobody was ever like, you're just a guest to this. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody ever made me feel like that. Like, when we were talking about the MC thing at school, they just were like, let's get better, and almost all them homies was Black. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I never felt that energy until this generation now. And most of them are all younger, right. And I applaud them for standing up and like against the things that they're seeing and stuff like that. Like, I get it, but I personally never experienced that.
Right.
And to me, I feel like hip hop it's to bring people together to reach your culture. That's the way I see it. Like, when I was at my youthful age, when I was doing this, when I'm like reading the Malcolm X biography and so like autobiography stuff, it was cats around me that were like, yo, that's dope. I'm glad you're learning this stuff, but you should also like learn about your people. And I was like, oh, that's dope. Okay. And because I didn't grow up on a reservation, I didn't grow up with ceremony or elders, anyone teaching me, I just grew up in the hood, in the hood. So,
and not to cut you off, Artson.
Yeah.
But I like how you brought that up. You talked about ceremony and I don't know what tribe are you from?
I'm a Tarahumara, Raramuri from Mexico.
I am in northwest Mexico, in an inhospitable land which for many centuries has been the home of the Tarahumara Indians, a very hospitable tribe. Their ancestors came from Asia, crossing the Bering Straits. I came here on the back of a mule, the best way of traveling across the Sierra Madre. The family is very important to them, as it constitutes the social base that ensures their precarious well-being. They are strong people, accustomed to living with very little, and who value people more than things. The man with the most experience in the village is the chief, or Siriame, and he is chosen by a system of showing of hands which makes vote rigging impossible. On Sundays, he gives them a chat, and they go to see him to resolve the problems of the community. Like their ancestors, they grow maize. They don't have many resources, but they do have their own philosophy. They never tell their children off. They give them responsibilities from when they are very young, and they teach them to decide for themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like one of the arguments I saw on this meme page, when I saw this argument, I was like, I'm done. It was like, if you weren't there, if you're black but you weren't there, then it's not your culture. And I was like, that makes absolutely no sense, because if that's the case, then there's no such thing as culture. Because these ceremonies that you probably participate in now, were you there when they were created? No, you weren't even born. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So should I say to you that whatever this ceremony is, well, you didn't create it, so therefore it's not your culture. If I do it, it's not like, if you invite me to the ceremony, I can't then be like, and even if you respect me at the ceremony, you show me everything, maybe I even come up with some ideas about the ceremony. But then I can't then say, well, it's both of our culture because you weren't there when it was created, and I do it pretty good now. Matter of fact, I do the ceremony better than you.
Yeah.
It's still your ceremony.
Yeah.
And this is just my mind. And the reason that, like, I always bring it up is because at the end of the day, I don't know why people get so offended, because it's not like anybody is trying to kick anybody out. It's not, to me, I don't see people really putting up fences like, oh, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel people get defensive because maybe they feel like they're being pushed out, and but at the same time, I feel like with hip hop, you have to get to a point where you're hip hop, like I am hip hop, and it's like in this same conversation that we were just talking about. If say you were like involved with ceremony so much that you become part of the tribe, you have to stand in that and be like, no, I'm this, and you have to have a strong stance to hold that square, and so I feel like a lot of people, they're not hip hop yet, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. they're still studying, they're right. still learning, they're still growing, and so as they're growing, they're trying to be a part of this family. And then if they feel like they're being pushed out, they get defensive. People get defensive, man, nowadays, regardless of anything. You know what I'm saying? So right. So in this conversation, maybe they feel like that, and maybe they're not in that power yet to be like, I am hip hop. I am hip hop. What is hip hop? I am. Like, are you that strong to say like I am? And can you hold it down? Can you speak the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and show and tell your skill? Can you do those things? And if you can't, that's fine. Saying you're still learning and studying and growing. So it's a touchy, of course it's a touchy subject just because of the subject. But above that also is this situation of like, where do you stand in it? Like, because you dance doesn't even make you hip hop.
Makes you a dancer.
Yeah, it makes you a dancer. Good, you could be amazing. You could be considered one of the best.
Right.
But you ain't hip hop. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a whole other thing, and learning and understanding that comes with it. So I think that's, for me, as me looking at the conversations, I always think that. I always mean like, man, like, I always feel like those people that are worried about getting kicked out or however they feel about it.
Right.
Like, I just don't think they're hip hop. Like, I think there's a lot of people that are not really hip hop that are amazing. Like, I could think you're great at dancing and breaking or popping, whatever you do, graffiti, but hip hop, I feel like there's not a lot of them. It's a generation that's kind of like almost kind of fading, like the ones that live it or speak about it all the time, we think it's this ginormous thing, but if you really think about it, man, there's not a lot of hip hoppers that are like true to like all elements and the knowledge, it's like, man, that's a whole deeper thing, it's like, like, it's as if, it's like me, with me being native. I grew up in the street and I have to recognize that. Mm-hmm. So I don't get outside of myself around ceremony, around elders, I'm like, yo, I need to learn more. You know, I'm still learning. I'm still a baby, matter of fact. You know what I'm saying? So I don't try to be like, this is mine. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
This is
right.
I'm learning. I'm learning. And yes, I am. And I'm strong enough to be like, I'm native and I'm proud of it. But when it comes around certain things, I know when to like stand back and be like, you know, so I feel like that's a certain place for people. That's a certain place that people need to learn to stand upon and be like,
Right.
I'm not at that level, you know, like I'm at this level, getting there, you know.
Right.
But it's a tough conversation, man, for people to have. And well, I'll say this too, man, is that for me, it's tough to watch some of the conversations tearing people apart, because I feel like this thing that we have is a gift. It's a spiritual blessing for the people. It's saving lives in third world countries, you know, and it's bringing people together around the globe. And we have things to learn, but we have to remember that it's literally saving lives, you know, literally. And, you know, some people that are holding the conversations, are they suffering like that, you know, or are they suffering like that, you know? And like,
And the big thing about it too is like, you know, the whole saving lives and all that really is unintentional that it became that. You know what I'm saying? Because like, you know, it didn't start. You would be hard pressed to convince me that the first generation b-boys was thinking about the world. And
no
we're gonna
doubt.
save life. They was just having fun. They were kids. They were teenagers having fun, and or whatever ages they were. I'm sure they were in their like early teens or whatever. But my point is just like what you talked about earlier. If you grew up in the hood like I did and like you did, your world is small because you don't know anything about the world. You know what I'm saying? You're basically confined to, I always say, a four block radius, 4 blocks that way, this way, that way, that way. You know, and the people that you're really trying to, if you were a first generation breaker, you're trying to beat the people that you see every day. You're trying to be fresher than the dude next to you. You're not worried about, oh man, this is gonna be in a movie one day, or this is gonna be like an international phenomenon. That's not how they were thinking. It's dope that it turned out like that because, like you said, now it's a tool to unite people when the attitude is right, when the knowledge is right, when you're mentally where you need to be within this culture, like it's very unifying, right? But yeah, I just always think how dope it was. Like it's got to be one of the greatest accidents to happen at least in my lifetime.
And that's why I'm saying that it's a spiritual blessing. It's a gift given from a higher source. Like there was a deep, we didn't understand, you know, or the generation before us didn't know what was going to happen, because it's bigger than, it's always been bigger than the people. You know, it's something that's happening, like to bring all these people together, man. All these people around the world, it's amazing, you know. And my thing over the last few years has been to purposely try to bridge the gap between the elders, and I'm not talking about hip hop elders. I'm talking about like let's say elders in the Native community and the youth community, the youth in the Native community. So there's a thing about they should be doing traditional ceremony. They should be doing traditional dances. They should be doing this. And the kids are like, we want to do hip hop. We want to rap. We want to dance. We want to do these things. So my thing was, how do we bridge that gap, you know? But it's showing them that what we're doing is such a reflection of the culture, of traditional culture and today's hip hop culture. It's a mirror, you know, it's a mirror reflection. So I'm at this event one day. It's called Sacred Cypher. And we're doing a jam at a powwow. And so it's a b-boy jam at downstairs, and upstairs is a powwow. But the elders can see downstairs. You know, there's like a hole and they could see downstairs. They start coming downstairs. the grandmas come, they put their blankets, they sitting there watching the kids dance. Next thing you know, the dancers are coming full regalia and they're ciphering with everybody. And then I'm like, dang, the grandmas are like starting to smile, and like the elders are starting to smile. And I mean, they don't really smile in the first place. They're always like, you know, like real serious, you know what I mean? And
even when they are happy, right?
yeah, even when they are happy. And at the end of the jam, the lady says to me, "This is one of the happiest days of my life. Like, I don't remember being this happy." And she's like, "What you guys are doing is like prophecy. You guys are bringing all the people, she's like, where's everyone? There's all colors here, all different backgrounds, and they're participating in what they feel like is their circle. You know, like, this is what we do. We come together, we make these circles, we dance, we're listening to the drums, we're doing these things that have been done for hundreds, thousands of years." And they're like, this is like prophecy. And they saw it, you know what I mean? Yeah, they saw it. And so, you know, that's why I feel like this is a special, special gift that's been given to us, you know, and it bridges the gap, man, of our generation and the elder generation. And it's because it's ancient, bro. It's ancient. What we're doing is ancient.
Okay, so let's go deeper into that. So, you know how so if we're under the reality that, you know, hip hop is, you know, all inclusive, everybody has a place that wants a place, should we get rid of the terms like such and such hip hop, where people put like a ethnicity or a nationality in front of it, like you're Australian hip hop or even native hip hop? Should it just be, should we get rid of those terms and just call it hip hop and just say everybody's, like, you don't have to call it, you know what I'm saying, native hip hop if hip hop is everybody? Yeah. Like, is that?
Well, I've been in this conversation before. You know, it's a tough conversation because I've been putting out albums and music for a while, and then later on, I caught this wave in this indigenous hip hop world. A lot of the interviews I do are like, so what's it like to be an indigenous hip hop artist, you know, or whatever? And I'm like, well, I'm just a hip hop artist. Like, I just happen to be native. And I was like, but I don't want to be put in a box that I'm indigenous hip hop. I'm happy to be part of indigenous hip hop because I feel like it uplifts our voice. Like, you know, we're like an invisible people almost a lot of the time, you know? So to have that is empowering to the youth to be like, I can be a part of this indigenous hip hop world. So it empowers people. But you also have to realize that I feel like it's part of part of a teacher's responsibility to tell the youth that, yeah, you're indigenous hip hop, but you're hip hop. So you got to remember that you're hip hop. So I always try to say that, man. It's like, yeah, I'm proud to be part of this indigenous hip hop world. If I'm inspiring indigenous youth to rap, dance, paint, whatever they're doing, you know, be a DJ, I'll accept that. But at the same time, I'm going to let them know is that, okay, yeah, this is dope. And I'm glad that we're getting our voice heard and our face seen, but we're a part of hip hop. And I feel like so I'm just saying that I feel like it's part of, we have to teach those responsibilities to people. Not people aren't always going to get it. You know, like people aren't always going to get people aren't always going to act right. Let's just face it. You know what I'm saying? Like, people aren't always going to act right. And there's a certain way to teach people how to act right. You know, and if we're scolding them, they might run away and never be a part of hip hop anymore like that, you know? But if you could teach them and they do the right thing, cool. If you teach them and they don't do the right thing, well, then that's a lesson too, you know? Like, that's also something that we have to be like, well, that cat's not really down, you know, like for the situation. And we have to understand that, man. We're not gonna get are we gonna get into a perfect position? I don't know. Are we gonna get into a perfect world where it's all working out? I don't know. And if we did, will we even like it? You know what I'm saying? We if everything was perfect, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right. So from what I'm hearing from you, it's like you have to walk the thin line of the same thing that empowers you can also box you in. So being labeled as indigenous hip hop could empower you. Like, yeah, I see myself in this bigger thing. But if you only see yourself as that, then it also boxes you in like, oh, you're indigenous hip hop. You see what I'm saying? And speaking of walking the fine lines, my man Artson is Grammy nominated. Been on that red carpet.
I haven't got the nominee, but I've been right there, man. Like the way it works is you make thousands and thousands of people, of course, get submitted. The committee looks at the music and they pick those to make the first ballot of voting. From them, they choose the nominees. So I've made the first ballot twice. And when you do that, when you make the first ballot twice, every time you make the first voting, you get invited to go to the Grammys. And yeah, man, I was able to walk the red carpet. It was, yo, so
what was
wild.
that like? A kid from El Paso who basically got a second chance at life from a judge because you were going to move to Vegas, and now you on the red carpet. Did you even take a step off the red carpet just to be like, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? Not even recognizing the moments if you don't take a chance to just like breathe on it. You know what I'm saying? So you're like, man, that kid from El Paso, you know what I'm saying, rapping in his classroom because he had to do poetry. Bomb, here I am.
Yeah, I had this weird moment on the red carpet. I was really busy at the time, going through a lot of shows and different stuff. And it just came, you know, it's like, it's here, we're going today, you know. I'm like, okay, I'm at the red carpet. And then I was trying to take that moment, but I had this weird experience where I'm there and I'm like, you know, I'm not at a show. Like, I didn't pay to go to a show. I'm here because of what I've done, you know. And I had that reflection there, you know, because it felt like, you know, it felt like I was at a concert or something, you know, like I'm going to a concert and I'm walking into the concert and, you know, they're going to give some awards tonight or whatever. But I had the moment of clarity to be like, I actually earned this.
The price of admission was putting in work.
Yeah, man. And it was mind blowing, you know. I was like, I had to hold myself back from like almost tears, you know, just being like, dang.
You should have held yourself back from having to rush the stage, ODB style.
Songwriters for Sunny King.
Please calm down. The music and everything. I went and bought me an outfit today that costed a lot of money today. You know what I mean? Because I figured that Wu-Tang was going to win. I don't know how y'all see it, but when it comes to the children, Wu-Tang is for the children. We teach the children. You know what I mean? Puffy is good, but Wu-Tang is the best. Okay? I want y'all to know that this is ODB and I love you all. Peace.
Thank you, Mr. Right. Is this us? Yeah. I'm confused now.
I got this suit on.
I should have old dirty bastard Kanye'd him like.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
I had the greatest album this year. Artson had the greatest.
You know, hey, all y'all was cool, but Artson is for the children. No doubt, man. But so you said you had to you really had to hold back some emotions because it was a real moment.
Yeah, man. You know, it's when you grow up and everyone says it's not possible, like regardless of how much you lift yourself up, that's still something that's there, you know, always like poking you, you know, like you're always trying to prove to your uncle or your teacher or you always remember that person you worked for or whatever the case is, you know, your homie that always was like, you know, whatever. So that always lives there. I feel like it's very far away from me right now, those people. But once in a while, like at a place like that, I'm like, damn, if they were only right here.
It's real, right?
I would be like, all that mess you was talking.
No doubt, man. That is ill. And, you know, another ill thing, and, you know, it just shows the humanity in you, is that I saw that you were celebrating like 6 years sober, but this was a year ago. So now we 7 years sober. What is it like? What does it feel like to like constantly be over, like winning that battle day to day? Like every day is a W for you for 7 years straight.
It's a trip because it doesn't seem like it's been 7 years. And it's also like every now and then you have that battle, you know, even though it's been a while now, I still have the battle once in a while too, where I'm like, oh man, I've been 7 years and I could have one, or, you know, I could do this one time. And so it's a constant battle, you know, it's a constant struggle, but I'm grateful that I did it. It's unbelievable to me. Like I started drinking at a very, very early age in my life. And when I stopped, I think it was when I was pushing past like 6 months, and I had a realization that at that moment, that was the longest that I gone without drinking since I was an early teenager.
Wow.
And I was like, man, like that tells a lot about yourself, you know. It's like, it's only been 6 months, and since I was a teenager, I've like way surpassed my you know, my longest of not drinking. And so that was a little bit of motivation to keep going. And, you know, that first year was a crazy struggle to get through the year. A lot of things happened in my life that were it felt like trying to pull me into just forgetting about, drowning in my sorrows, you know, and but I just kept getting past it. And it's a lot easier now. I remember my first tour, not drinking and like certain things like that, you know.
That had to be crazy because tours are like basically a daily party, right?
Yeah, basically like you're performing and then you're like at an after party or whatever. And yeah, it was a trip to be on tour and not be drinking and just be like, wow, this is like real crazy. I remember this was, I think not last year, the year before, we're doing a show, and there's this elder lady who booked us for the show. We're teaching kids. It's pretty much like we're going into the school systems, performing at the school and teaching the school, spending like a whole week with these students.
Oh, wow.
And she
like
found
a
out
boot camp or what?
Yeah, kind of like a boot camp, but yeah, kind of, I guess, you know. But they're letting us go into the schools, perform with like all the levels of grades, and then teach them. And we're like on reservations, like doing this for like young kids on the res, and, you know, encouraging them to chase their dreams, and like, you know, encouraging them to like partake in tradition and stuff like that. And so, but anyways, we get to this point where the lady finds out that I'm the sober one, you know, and and she was like, hold up, you're a rapper and you don't drink, smoke, she's like, wait, what kind of rapper are you? You know, it was just real funny. And I was just like, wow, I never had
never had thought about it like that, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so it was a trip, man. It's been amazing, and I think one of the biggest things that have kept me driving is teaching kids like that, you know, going and seeing them and seeing them hype about my dream and having them believe in whatever they believe in. That's so inspiring, you know, and to be able to share that with them and be like, you don't have to do these things, especially because on the reservations they suffer real.
Some people like going through worse stuff than me. Kids go through hard times. You just see our natives standing up there. You see alcohol everywhere, and that's sad.
Pine Ridge in South Dakota is the second biggest reservation in the United States. Larger than Delaware and Rhode Island combined, covering more than 2.7 million acres of grasslands where buffalo still graze. But the Oglala Lakota people living here are racked by 87% unemployment, and many live in crippling poverty. Pine Ridge and neighboring Rosebud reservations are located in two of the poorest counties in America. Alcoholism, drug addiction, domestic violence, and sexual abuse are all issues that the tribe faces.
A lot from that, you know, like real high alcoholism and, you know, all kinds of things, man, you know, suicide rates, abuse, like we're talking about, you know, heavy trauma. And, you know, it makes me be like, think about my life and like, man, I'm blessed right now, you know, and if I'm this blessed, next time I come back to see these kids, I need to be that much better. You know, like I need to be better than I was when I came here this time. And every time I go back, I need to be at a higher frequency. So that I want them to believe that, like, oh, this guy's crazy. He has such good energy. And then when I come back, I want them to be like, whoa, I didn't think it could get that much higher. And then, whoa. And every time I want to blow their mind like that, you know? And so, yeah, because they're suffering out there, man. They're suffering, like, and it's sad to see, but it's also very uplifting to see when they get encouraged and like happy, you know. And so, yeah, and the elders love us because we bridge that gap, you know. Even the way we just dress, you know, like the kids there, because they're trying to be so far from tradition, they're like wearing, you know, Nike or whatever the case, logos, you know what I mean? They're trying to wear the hot gear like right. We were when we were young. Mm-hmm. But we come in dressed like this, that it's familiar to them. You know, like the patterns and stuff, right? Yeah, the patterns, the earrings, the whatever we're doing, you know, everything's familiar. You know, like even my Brave Star logo, it has the, you know, the 8-pointed star, like all that's like a star on star quilts and covers that they use and like stuff like. So it's all to them. It's all like there's this medicine around them at home, and here we come rocking it, and it looks fresh, and then they're like, yo, and so the teachers see that oh, we look cool wearing the things that they don't really like at their home or whatever, you know. And so then they're like, then they feel like, oh, I could rock them, and like, look, then they're cool. I can basically re-image my culture. Yeah, because I mean, I can't imagine when we were young, if somebody came into our school and was super dope and they're performing, breaking, there's graffiti, there's rapping, they're doing all, and it's at a high level. Like, what would that have done to us as a youth? Right. You know, like they didn't even want us doing it at school. Let alone pay somebody to come do it. Yeah, you know? So I'm just like, this is like, it's going to leave a huge impression on them for their life, you know, like regardless if they like us or not. And, you know, cause there's kids that they ain't into hip hop, you know, and they're not trying to be down with hip hop at all. But the whole thing about it is, this isn't about me trying to make you hip hop. I'm not here to try to make you hip hop. I'm here to tell you that whatever you want to do, you could do, regardless of what it is, you know. So if you put yourself into it, you know, and that's the most important thing, you know. It's like, so it's like this like almost like this full circle thing about hip hop with me is that it's, you know, it did what it did for me, but it can do for people that ain't even trying to be down. You know, it's like, because it tells a story, it tells your journey. You know, just like right now we're talking, it's just sharing our journey. You know, but this is what inspires someone to be like, man, I could do that in my own world of whatever I do. You know, like I always get inspired by like how this person did whatever, you know, the Serena Williams story or whatever the case is. You know, I'm gonna be like, what? Like, this is where she came from, this is what they did, this is how they lived. Like I get inspired by those stories of how did they get to where they are, you know. And so
right, a different straight out of Compton, right?
yeah, for real.
No doubt. And man, you know, thanks so much for your time, man. But I got one more thing I want to definitely have you touch on that I think would be powerful. What would be the message that you would want to send to like a young person, either in the culture or just in general, that might be going through some of the similar things that you went through, maybe being doubted or dealing with, you know, fighting against like substance abuse or something like that, alcoholism, whatever it is? What would be your message to them as a person who has transcended that to like a high level, and like you said, still have, you know, battles time to time, but continue to collect W's?
Mm-hmm. Now, I would say that you have to want to be your best. You know, you have to want to try to achieve your best you, not whatever you're trying to do, but just the best you. You know, and that's a hard thing to do. Because me saying that, it goes along with the title of my album, Brave Star. So Brave Star is about shining the light within you, like being like we say we're star beings. Like I'm a star being, and my people are star beings. But in order to be a star being, you have to shine light on the world, you know. And in order to do that, it comes with a responsibility. But it's also scary to do that amongst your peers. If you're shining amongst your peers, our people tend to bring our people down. We tend to bring our own people down, especially if they're shining. Like, oh, why has he got the fly car? I want to have a fly car. I'm whatever. Why has he got the fly girls? Why he's got the fresh gear? Why he, you know, like, and you start talking about that person. So some people tend to hold their light back, you know, like, I'm just going to be quiet, like, you know, and also because of the responsibility, you know. So, but I would say be the best you can be. Don't be afraid to shine your light. Don't be scared. Like, it's going to take you on a wild journey where it's going to be challenges and it's going to be hard. And there'll be times where it's going to, you know, you're going to have to face things. But a lot of it is you facing yourself. You know, when it comes down to it, you're facing yourself all the time. You know, you face yourself so much till you really see yourself, you know, and that's the place you want to get to. Because if you could really see yourself, then you're going to want to really be yourself, you know, and you'll be like, yo, I really want to be that person. And then you start doing that, you know. So I would say that be the best you could be. You know, I'll also say for even older cats, like, you know, teach the youth these things. Because if you're teaching the youth, like, and you really care about the youth, you're not just making money. Like, if you're really trying to teach the youth to be better, it's a self-reflection. Like, you're going to see yourself, because you're not going to be able to be bad around that kid, you know. And you'll notice, am I different when I'm around that kid in my real life? Like, and think about that. How many teachers do we have teaching youth? They're outside of them teaching. They're a whole nother person, a whole nother cat, you know. And so it's like, it starts to that reflection starts, you start to look at it. And if you really start, as you get older and these questions are continually being around you, you start questioning life, you'll start noticing that. You'll be like, okay, like I'm two people, you know, but you want to be yourself all the time. And that's tough, you know. So I'll be the best you could be, man. Be the best you could be. That's hard.
There it is. Beyond the Cypher. B-Boy Artson, Style Elements crew. where can we go to get the music?
My music is available on all digital platforms, iTunes, Tidal, Spotify, even YouTube. However, just, share it, play it, like it, love it, tell your tias, tell your aunties and your cousins, your little cousins, share the music with them. Find me on my social media is I am Artson, Artson. I am Artson, all my social medias. And yeah, man, it's been a beautiful conversation, man. Healing, even speaking today, it's even healing for me to remember these things, speak on these things, and be grateful for this life that I've been fortunate to live and still living. And I'm grateful to be doing this for myself and my family, especially, and and my friends. I'm grateful for everyone that's been on my journey, man. All the people that have been part of my journey have taught me things and shared knowledge with me, or any type of wisdom. I'm grateful for all those people that have helped me be who I am, because I'm sitting here being me.
No doubt, man. And we appreciate you joining our legacy, man. You've told us so much, man. You've shared so much with us and been, your story is really inspiring. So, man, we appreciate you for that. And we just want to say, also, anytime you're in, when you come out to Phoenix, if you're doing any shows once the world gets back together, let me know, man. I'll definitely come out and support. You know what I'm saying? I know House and Johnny and all those Furious Styles guys. So I'm sure you're, clicked in with those guys too. So yeah, man, just let me know. I'd love to come out and support and see the show or whatever you got going on. All right.
Sure. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Beyond the Cypher.
Peace.
See it, but I've seen it with my eyes, so I can't deny. The only thing left is for me to believe it, yeah. I believe it, yeah, yeah. I believe it, yeah. I believe it, yeah, yeah. I believe it, yeah, yeah. Quiet your mind and listen to the silence, so we can open up and start rising. Flying like an eagle, put a prayer in the sky. Been praying so hard, it's no wonder why. Burn a little cedar and the smoke is loud. My spirit starts floating, you could see the clouds. Raining on the people, can we wash away the pain? And we could all dance to bring a new day. Visions of the future, so my eyes are wide. I could see them moving when they fight in the sky. Just look up at the clouds when they passing by. The truth is in the see it, but I seen it with my eyes, so I can't deny. The only thing left is for me to believe it, yeah. I believe it, yeah, yeah. I believe it, yeah. I believe it, yeah, yeah. I believe it, yeah, yeah.
When I wake up every morning, I hear the silence that opens my heart and mind. Yeah, yeah. I've been seeing all life's purpose when nature's connected in its own design. My whole life's unfolding without even knowing. I just had to stop and stare. All that has been written there through his decisions, I let go and say a prayer. I just need to focus, knowing all my motives. Take the risk and I'll